I can't forget that night. Sadie was crying in the bathroom. Quiet at first, then louder, like she couldn't hold it in anymore. She was holding a crumpled pregnancy test in one hand, and her Bible in the other. She was 65. And still waiting. I've lived in the same neighborhood for over 30 years. Seen folks come and go. Seen marriages start, crash, and start again. But Adam and Sadie? They were different. They had this faith about them. The kind that makes you shake your head and wonder, do they really believe all that? They weren't loud with it. But they held on to a promise God gave them decades ago. A child. A future. A family bigger than stars in the sky. But year after year. Nothing. Still, they waited. Adam was a business guy back in the day. Good with numbers. Ran a decent construction company. People respected him. One summer night at the block barbecue, he dropped the bomb. God told me to leave. Everything. He's taking us somewhere new. Somewhere better. We all paused. Where exactly? He smiled like a fool in love. No idea. He just said, go. So we're going. And Sadie. She stood beside him, quiet but firm, like she was already halfway packed. I thought they'd be back in a month. They never came back. They moved to a small dusty town, Wendell Springs. Bought a beat-up ranch-style house. Started from scratch. They weren't rich. But they were full of something I couldn't name. Years went by. No baby. Then more years. Then gray hair. I'd visit sometimes. Bring pie. Check in. Every visit I'd ask, how's everything? And Adam would always say, God's still working. Sadie would smile politely. But her eyes gave her away. At some point, people stopped asking about the baby. It felt cruel. Sadie started avoiding baby showers. Christmases with nieces and nephews were tough. She'd sneak out to the kitchen and cry alone. Adam tried to stay upbeat. Every night he prayed. I know because I'd sometimes hear him through the thin walls. Lord, you said. You said. I'm holding you to it. But years passed. And nothing changed. Then one evening, Sadie came over to my place. No makeup. Slippers on. Holding her tea like it was medicine. I told him to try with Harper. I froze. Harper. You're made. She nodded. I'm done. I'm tired of waiting. Maybe I misunderstood God. Maybe it was supposed to happen through her. I didn't say much. What could I say? Weeks later, Harper was pregnant. Everything changed. Adam looked conflicted. He was kind to Harper, but you could tell his heart was torn in half. Sadie. She tried to act like it was fine. But it wasn't. Harper started walking like she was queen of the block. And Sadie, she shrank. The baby came. A boy. Malik. Adam loved that child like he was the answer. Taught him how to ride a bike. Took him fishing. The works. But Sadie never looked the same. Right when we thought they were settling into this new life, Adam told me something wild. God came to me again. He said the promise is still for Sadie. She's gonna have a baby. I laughed. Like Belly laughed. I couldn't help it. She's 89, man. He smiled like it made perfect sense. I know. But he said next year, she'll be holding our son. Months later, Sadie missed her period. No one believed it. Even the doctor thought it was early dementia. But every test confirmed it. She was pregnant. At 89. When that baby came, you should have seen the hospital staff. They took selfies. News outlets even reached out. They named him Isaac. It means laughter. And let me tell you, he brought it. For a while, it was perfect. Sadie was glowing. Isaac was chunky and happy and full of life. But trouble was brewing. Malik was older now. And one day, he teased Isaac. Just kid stuff. But Sadie saw it. And that old pain came back with a vengeance. She turned to Adam and said, "Get them out. Harper and her boy. I want them gone." Adam was crushed. But he did it. Harper packed what she could. Left with Malik into the desert. We didn't hear from her for years. Later, someone told me they saw her. Said she was running a women's shelter in another state. Strong. Resilient. Still believing in God too. Adam lived to see Isaac grow. He taught him how to pray, how to plant, how to build. Sadie passed quietly in her sleep. Adam followed not too long after. But their story, it stuck with me. They waited for 25 years. Through confusion, shame, mistakes, and silence. But when the promise came, it was sweeter than they ever imagined. I think about them sometimes when I'm frustrated. When life feels slow. When it feels like nothing's changing. And I remember. Some promises take a long time. But the wait doesn't mean the answer isn't coming. Sometimes. The miracle just needs time to grow. Kindly subscribe to this channel for more. Now, 2 sons, 1 legacy, and a family secret that changed everything. It started with a phone call. A deep voice on the other end said, "Isaac needs to know the truth. He deserves to know who Malik really is." And just like that, everything Adam and Sadie built was on the edge of falling apart. If you haven't heard the first part of this story, here's the short version. Adam and Sadie were a couple who waited over 25 years for a child. God promised, and they held on, even when it made no sense. Sadie was 89 when she gave birth to Isaac. A miracle baby. But before that, they'd made a mistake. A plan B. Sadie told Adam to have a child with Harper, their young house help. That child, Malik, was born first, but later pushed out. And now, years after both Adam and Sadie had passed, the 2 boys, now men, were about to cross paths again. Isaac was different. Raised in love, yes, but also in pressure. "You're the promised child," people told him. The one who came through faith. He didn't always like it. Sometimes he felt like he wasn't allowed to mess up. Like he had to be perfect, just to honor what his parents waited so long for. He went to college. Studied environmental science. Wanted to help small towns get clean water, something his mom used to dream about. He carried his dad's Bible in his glove box. Never opened it much. Malik had a harder road. Harper raised him alone. Moved from town to town, dodging judgment and stretching every dollar. But she taught him to fight. To think. To believe in himself. By 25, Malik was running a community boxing gym for at-risk kids. He'd never met Isaac. Barely spoke about Adam. But he carried the hurt like a tattoo under his skin. Then one night, he found a journal in his mom's old closet. Adam's handwriting. Bible verses. A letter he never sent. "Forgive me, son. I chose peace over what was right." Malik broke down. And that's when he made the call. Isaac got the call while on his lunch break. "Hey, you don't know me. My name's Malik. We're brothers." Isaac didn't say a word. Malik continued. "I'm not trying to start drama, but there's stuff you deserve to know. About our dad. About the inheritance. About you." Isaac agreed to meet at a diner 2 towns over. When they sat across from each other, it was like looking in a mirror. Same eyes. Same jaw. Same pause before you speak energy. They talked for hours. About childhood. About Harper. About Sadie. About what they both lost. Isaac learned something that shook him. Harper was never just a maid. She was Sadie's cousin. They were family all along. Later, Malik dropped another bomb. "I found a second will. Signed by Adam. He wanted us both to have the land. The house. Everything. But Sadie had written another one after his death. One that named only Isaac. Isaac didn't know. His aunt, the executor, had kept it hidden. Now the question was, what do we do? Take it to court? Or figure it out ourselves? Isaac went back to the old house that week. Sat in the backyard where his dad used to teach him how to dig holes for garden beds. He opened the Bible for the first time in years. Flipped through pages until one sentence hit him hard. As for the son of the slave woman, I will make him a nation too, for he is your offspring. He thought about Malik. The fire. The fight. The good he was doing in his community. Isaac knew what he had to do. A month later, the paperwork was signed. They split everything. Even the old house. Turned it into a youth center. Named it the Two Sons Foundation. One office for Malik. One for Isaac. Together, they started teaching kids about resilience. About dreams. About faith, even when things don't make sense. I drive past that house sometimes. Watch kids run around in the same yard where Adam once cried out to God. I think about Sadie. About Harper. About the messes we make when we rush God's timing. But I also think about grace. Redemption. Second chances. Isaac and Malik didn't start their story on equal ground. But they chose to walk forward anyway. And somehow, that might have been the real miracle. They were born from the same man, but became brothers by choice. Are you still here? Right. Hit that notification bell. The sons of the promise. And the test that tore them apart. The fight started over something small. A broken fence. A late-night text. But by the next morning, the cops were involved. And the family that took 40 years to come together was on the edge of breaking apart, again. In case you're just joining this story, here's what you missed. Adam and Sadie waited 25 years for a promised child, Isaac. But before Isaac, Adam had a son with Harper. Her name might not be familiar, but her pain was real. That son's name was Malik. Years later, the brothers, Isaac and Malik, found each other, reconciled, and turned their family home into the Two Sons Foundation, a place for kids to learn, grow, and believe. But time moves fast. And legacy has a funny way of testing the next generation. Isaac married a teacher named Leah. Soft-spoken, strong in spirit. They had one son, Eli. Eli was his father's twin in every way. Thoughtful. Book-smart. Quiet, but steady. Isaac raised him with care. Don't just live off the promise. Be the promise. But Eli struggled to step out from his dad's shadow. The whole town saw him as the miracle kid's kid. That kind of pressure. It gets heavy. Malik married Tiana, a youth counselor. Firecracker personality, but full of wisdom. Their son, Jordan. Jordan was bold, loud, fearless. He had his dad's fight and his mom's mouth. He grew up in the same foundation building, helping run boxing classes and tutoring kids. But deep down, Jordan always felt like they were still the other side of the family. Even after all the peace, some wounds still lingered. It started with a disagreement over a program budget. Eli wanted to use funds for scholarships. Jordan wanted to expand the gym and hire more staff. Things got tense. Words were exchanged. Respect was lost. Then came a party. One of the kids vandalized a nearby house. Eli told Jordan it was his boys. Jordan called him a soft silver spoon brat. Eli shoved him. Jordan punched him. Cameras caught it all. It went viral. The board held an emergency meeting. Donors started pulling out. Volunteers quit. Isaac blamed Malik for not raising Jordan with more respect. Malik snapped back. You raised your son to think he's better than everyone. Years of peace started cracking. The old wounds reopened. It felt like the legacy was slipping through their hands. Isaac walked into the old prayer closet Adam used to kneel in. Sat on the floor. Wept. Flipped open the Bible. Genesis 22. The part where Abraham is asked to sacrifice Isaac. "Lord," he whispered, "am I being asked to give up my son? My pride. My control." Malik was at the gym, punching the heavy bag alone. Sweat and tears dripping into the mat. He remembered what Harper used to tell him. Sometimes the promised land still has battles. You don't give up, you grow through. They met at the same diner where they first reunited years ago. No lawyers. No board members. Just two brothers and a table between them. "I don't want to lose what we built," Isaac said. Malik nodded. "But our sons have to fight with each other, not against." They came up with a plan. Each son would step down, for now. They'd rotate leadership between them every year. One focused on business, the other on community. They'd work under a new name. Legacy Company. 2 sons. 1 mission. No egos. I watched Jordan and Eli shake hands at the relaunch ceremony. Not a perfect hug. Not a miracle moment. But real. I saw in them what I once saw in Adam and Sadie. Faith that bends, but doesn't break. Isaac and Malik didn't just carry the promise. They passed it on, with all its mess, all its grace, all its hope. And maybe that's what legacy really is. Not perfect people, but people who keep choosing love, when everything else tells them to walk away. Some inherit wealth. Others inherit war. But these sons inherited a promise, and had to fight to keep it alive.